What's going on, everyone? So I was at the car wash yesterday afternoon, just sitting in my car, waiting for them to finish detailing the interior, scrolling through my phone, trying to kill time because they were running way behind schedule. I had NBA Today playing on my phone with headphones in since there was nothing else to do, and I honestly wasn't paying that much attention at first because I was also responding to work emails and checking my fantasy basketball lineup. But then, I heard the analysts start talking about the Lakers' defensive struggles and potential trade targets to address their perimeter defense issue, and I looked down at my phone and saw they were breaking down Keon Ellis as a possible acquisition. I literally stopped everything I was doing and just focused on the screen because I'd been saying for weeks that the Lakers need exactly this type of player. A legitimate 3-and-D wing who can guard multiple positions and knock down corner threes. The way they connected the Lakers' defensive deficiencies to Ellis's tenacious perimeter defense, to his elite three-point shooting percentage, to how his affordable contract makes a trade feasible, to how he'd fit perfectly alongside LeBron and Luka without needing the ball in his hands was honestly some of the most strategic roster construction analysis I've heard all season. The analyst kept emphasizing that Ellis represents the kind of low-cost, high-impact move that championship teams make at the deadline to address specific weaknesses. And I was nodding along in my car like an idiot, while the car wash employees probably wondered what I was watching. Let me walk you through everything that went down on NBA Today, because the framework they laid out for why Keon Ellis makes so much sense for the Lakers, from the defensive versatility to the shooting ability to the contract flexibility, was genuinely some of the best trade target evaluation I've seen from the national media this year. So they opened the segment discussing how the Lakers' 2026 championship aspirations are being hampered by glaring roster construction flaws that need to be addressed before the trade deadline. The primary issue they identified was perimeter defense, and the analyst was saying the Lakers have faced significant defensive difficulties this season, particularly on the perimeter, where opposing guards and wings have been able to attack with relative ease. The team lacks that tenacious, versatile defender who can check multiple positions and make life difficult for opposing scorers, which has been exploited repeatedly by playoff-caliber teams. And this is where Keon Ellis entered the conversation as the ideal solution to address these specific weaknesses. The perimeter defense need is absolutely critical for the Lakers' championship hopes. Ellis is known throughout the league as a tenacious and versatile defender, capable of guarding multiple players along the perimeter while generating steals and deflections that create transition opportunities. In today's NBA, where teams are hunting mismatches constantly through switches and pick-and-roll actions, having a defender like Ellis, who can stay in front of quick guards while also having the size and strength to battle wings, is invaluable. The three-point shooting ability factor cannot be overstated in terms of fit with LeBron and Luka. Ellis is an effective perimeter shooter with a career percentage above 40% from three-point range, which is elite-level shooting that would significantly help space the floor for stars like LeBron James and Luka Doncic. When you have two ball-dominant playmakers who operate best with the ball in their hands, attacking the basket, surrounding them with shooters who can spot up and knock down open looks is essential for maximizing their effectiveness. The cost-benefit and flexibility aspect makes this move even more appealing for the Lakers' front office. Ellis is on an extremely affordable contract at just $3 million this season, which makes him a low-cost trade target that won't require the Lakers to gut their roster or give up significant assets. Additionally, his status as a future unrestricted free agent at the end of this season actually provides the Lakers with flexibility rather than limiting them. They can re-sign him in the summer using bird rights without significantly impacting their salary cap, giving them both a short-term playoff contributor and a long-term piece if the fit works out. The rotation player profile is perfect for what the Lakers need right now. Ellis is viewed as an ideal plug-and-play guy who can contribute immediately in a rotation role without needing extensive ball-handling responsibilities or plays called for him. He's the type of complementary player who makes winning plays, does the dirty work on defense, hits open shots when his number is called, and doesn't disrupt the offensive hierarchy or chemistry. That's exactly what championship teams need surrounding their stars. The analyst went through the Lakers' current roster construction, pointing out where the defensive gaps exist. They have LeBron, who at 40 years old simply cannot be asked to guard the opponent's best perimeter player for 35 minutes anymore. They have Luka, who, while improved defensively, is still not a lockdown defender you want matched up against elite scorers. They have Dalton Knecht, who's a rookie showing promise, but still learning NBA defense. They have Austin Reaves, who tries hard, but lacks the physical tools to consistently contain athletic wings and guards. What they don't have is that stopper, that guy you can throw at Devin Booker, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Maxey, or any of the elite perimeter scorers in the Western Conference, and trust him to make their lives difficult. Keon Ellis provides exactly that. He's averaging nearly 2 steals per game this season for Sacramento and has consistently drawn the toughest defensive assignment, allowing the Kings' other guards to conserve energy and focus on offense. The shooting statistics were broken down in detail because it's not just about the percentage, it's about the types of shots Ellis takes and makes. Over 85% of his three-point attempts this season have been catch-and-shoot opportunity, which is exactly what the Lakers need. He's not a guy who needs the ball to operate pick and roll or create his own shot off the dribble. He literally stands in the corner, waits for LeBron or Luka to collapse the defense, and knocks down the open three when it comes his way. That's such a specific and valuable skill in today's NBA, and finding players who can do it at above 40% while also playing elite defense is incredibly rare. Usually guys who are defensive specialists are limited offensively and hurt your spacing, while shooters tend to be defensive liabilities you have to hide. Ellis is that unicorn 3-and-D player every contender is looking for. The trade framework was discussed extensively because executing the deal is the tricky part given the Lakers' limited assets and Sacramento's potential reluctance to help a division rival. The most realistic package probably involves some combination of Jalen Hood-Schifino, who hasn't gotten rotation minutes in LA, a future second-round pick or two, and potentially taking back some salary to make the money work. The Kings might be motivated to move Ellis if they don't think they can re-sign him in free agency or if they want to avoid a bidding war in the summer. From Sacramento's perspective, Ellis is a nice player, but he's not a core piece of their future. De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis are their franchise cornerstone, and guys like Keegan Murray and Keon Ellis are more complementary rotation players. If they can get some draft capital and a young prospect like Hood-Schifino, who might benefit from a change of scenery and more opportunity, that could make sense for their timeline. The fit alongside LeBron and Luka was emphasized as potentially transformative for the Lakers' two-way impact. Imagine lineups where you have LeBron and Luka orchestrating the offense with their elite passing and scoring, surrounded by shooters and defenders like Ellis, Austin Reaves, and Jared Vanderbilt when healthy. Suddenly, you have spacing for drives, kick-out options for threes, and the ability to switch defensively without creating massive mismatches. Ellis guarding the opponent's best guard, while LeBron can roam as a free safety, using his still elite defensive IQ to generate steals and blocks. That's championship-level defense when executed properly. And offensively, Ellis just spacing to the corner and making defenses respect his shot opens up so much room for LeBron and Luka to operate in the mid-range and paint areas where they're most effective. The bird rights flexibility was explained as a major advantage for the Lakers' long-term planning. If they trade for Ellis now, and he performs well, they can re-sign him this summer using his bird rights, which allows them to exceed the salary cap to retain him. This means they're not choosing between keeping Ellis or pursuing other free agents. They can potentially do both depending on how the rest of their offseason plays out. Compare that to waiting until the summer to sign him as a free agent, where they'd need cap space or would be limited to smaller exceptions like the mid-level. By trading for him now, they get 3 months to evaluate the fit, build chemistry, and secure his bird rights for retention flexibility. That's smart front office maneuvering that championship organizations execute. The urgency of the Lakers' championship window was discussed as the primary motivation for making any move right now. LeBron is 40 years old, and even with Luka's addition, you cannot waste seasons when you have a roster capable of contending. Every year you don't maximize your championship odds is a year wasted, and small moves like adding Keon Ellis can be the difference between a second-round exit and a finals run. The analyst brought up examples of similar low-cost, high-impact trade deadline acquisitions that helped teams win championships. P.J. Tucker to Milwaukee in 2021, Gary Payton II to Golden State in 2022, Derek White to Boston. These weren't blockbuster moves that dominated headlines, but they were perfectly targeted additions that addressed specific roster weaknesses and played crucial roles in playoff success. Keon Ellis represents that same type of under-the-radar but highly impactful acquisition. He's not going to be the reason the Lakers win or lose a championship, but he could be the 7th or 8th man who gives you 20 quality minutes, defending the opponent's best guard while hitting 2 corner threes. Over a 7-game series, that type of consistent production from your role players is what separates champions from pretenders. The Sacramento Kings' perspective was also examined because understanding why they might trade Ellis helps the Lakers construct an appealing offer. The Kings are hovering around the play-in tournament, not quite good enough to be considered true contenders, but too good to fully tank. Ellis is going to be a free agent and likely will command a contract in the $8 to $10 million per year range based on his production and the market for 3-and-D wing. Do the Kings want to commit that money to a role player when they have bigger needs and limited financial flexibility? Or would they rather get some draft capital now and use that money elsewhere in free agency? If Sacramento's front office decides they'd rather have draft picks and financial flexibility than pay Ellis market value, that creates opportunity for the Lakers to swoop in. The timeline for making a move was stressed as being right now rather than waiting until closer to the deadline. If the Lakers are serious about Ellis, and he's their primary target, waiting just increases the risk that another team swoops in with a better offer. Milwaukee, Denver, Phoenix, Miami. There are plenty of contenders who would love to add exactly this type of player, so the Lakers can't afford to be passive or hesitant. Rob Pelinka needs to get on the phone with Sacramento's front office, gauge their interest level in the players and picks the Lakers can offer, and either make a deal happen or move on to alternative target. But the fit is so obvious and the need is so clear that Ellis should be priority number 1 for LA's trade deadline strategy. What really struck me about this entire NBA Today segment was how they identified a very specific roster weakness, perimeter defense, and 3-and-D wing depth, and then proposed a very specific, realistic solution in Keon Ellis, who checks every single box the Lakers need. It wasn't vague, they should add shooting, or they need more defense analysis. It was concrete roster construction with actual names, contract figures, trade frameworks, and strategic reasoning for why this particular move makes sense right now. So, what do you guys think? Should the Lakers aggressively pursue Keon Ellis from Sacramento before another contender swoops in? Or are there better 3-and-D options available at the deadline? And would adding Ellis actually move the needle enough to make LA a legitimate championship favorite? Or do they still have bigger holes to fill? Let me know in the comments, because after watching NBA Today, break down every angle of why Ellis is the perfect fit, from the defensive versatility to the shooting. Numbers to the contract flexibility. I'm pretty convinced this is exactly the type of smart, targeted move that could be the difference between winning and losing in the playoffs.